Let's get some analysis on the humanitarian situation on the ground from James Elder, who is witnessing this crisis unfold firsthand. He is the spokesperson for UNICEF, and he also joins us live from Lviv. Now, hopefully, during today's negotiations here in Turkey, we'll see the two sides agree to evacuating the thousands of people trapped, particularly in Mariupol. Give us some insight into what could happen to them, though, if they are not granted a way out of the city.
Yeah, what a dark question, and it's important to remember too that it's Mariupol, it's Chernihiv. There's a whole range of cities where people are literally being suffocated under this siege. What it looks like now is a dire lack of water, and everyone knows how critical that is. Critical infrastructure like water has been targeted. It's a lack of food, and it's families, as your images show, living under bombardment. We say that so easily, but that means, mums I speak to lying across children in bunkers where I am now, hoping that they give their children a little bit more protection. It means taking risks with bombardments to go outside to try and get water. So organisations like UNICEF, we keep pushing to get in to areas like Mariupol, but those humanitarian corridors keep being disrespected, and that's potentially lethal there for those families who are trapped.
The UN says that there is evidence of mass graves in Mariupol. Do you know anything on that? Can you confirm any of the information that we're hearing from the UN, particularly in regards to those mass graves?
No, I don't know the latest on verification of, as you say, those claims of mass graves. I certainly know that scores and scores of children have been killed in this conflict. That we can sadly verify. Probably many more than the official numbers will show. That is children who are being trapped, children who are trying to flee, children who should be in places of safety. We are continually seeing that warfare, be it here, be it in Yemen, be it in Syria, is being fought in these heavily areas that are full of civilians, residential areas. And as long as that continues to occur, then organisations like UNICEF will continue to A, try and reach those areas, but B, warn of the mass casualties that this risks. So there are grave violations here when you talk of civilian areas being indiscriminately attacked. Organisations like ours not being able to get life-saving supplies into those areas. Now, I will, say with some that I'm pleased that we have been able to get life-saving medical supplies, surgical equipment, obstetric equipment to 50 hospitals and clinics around this country because mums are giving birth in bunkers. But it's not enough because there's an enormity of need, and there still remains many cities, as you're rightly showing there, where families are living in hellish conditions.
What could the lasting effects of the crisis be on Ukrainians, particularly children here?
Most importantly, it's trauma, unfortunately. We know this, we know when it's not just children living in bunkers. It is, of course, that. But UNICEF also knows now that we have this staggering, mind-boggling 1 in 2 children in this country have had to flee their homes in the last month. 1 in 2 of every Ukrainian boy and girl. That means they're fleeing, fighting. It also means invariably they're farewelling their father, that male figure in their family they're having to say goodbye to. All of this combined leads to trauma. Now, trauma affects a child's long-term development. It affects their mental health. It can affect their future earning capacity. Now, whether it's the counsellors and volunteers we've got in train stations, in metros, where 1,000 children are spending 24 hours a day hiding, or whether it's mobile teams UNICEF have got, we're trying again to treat that trauma. But, as we keep saying, until the bombs stop, until the attacks in civilian areas stop, we're going to see more children, heartbreakingly, affected by stress and potentially trauma.
James, you've spent some time in Kiev. You're now in Lviv. Just walk us through some of the work that you're doing on the ground there and what worries you the most, witnessing all this unfold.
I think there's 2 parts to our work. One, as I say, is that massive supplies, truck after truck or container on the back of trains going to hospitals around the country with surgical equipment, midwifery equipment, oxygen, critical life-saving support. Then it's small things like water purification tablets so people get access to clean water, or generators to pump water, or recreation kits. Never underestimate the importance of children being able to play. That's here. Then there's an enormous amount of support, of course, going on for those almost 2 million children who've become refugees. That's life-saving support. What worries us the most is just the scale of this, is that the bombardment continues, children keep being killed, humanitarian corridors are so important to get mums and children out of those areas and for UNICEF to get in. They're not being respected. So there are cities right now that remain under siege, and that is a great concern to us. While we're very pleased to be able to reach hospitals around the country, we are very conscious of those children. One child is enough not being able to reach. Right now, it's hundreds of thousands while this war continues.
All right, UNICEF spokesperson James Elder, thank you so much for speaking to us here today on TRT World, and for all the work and the operations you're conducting there on the ground across Ukraine.